How does the Euthyphro dilemma challenge moral authority? Imagine asking whether something is right because a divine being says so, or if the divine being says so because it is right. This question is at the heart of the Euthyphro dilemma. It challenges how we think about moral authority, who or what really decides what is right or wrong. When we look at the foundations of ethical thought, especially in ethics, this dilemma makes us question whether morality is based on divine commands or if it exists independently. If morality depends on divine commands, then anything the divine says is right just because it is commanded. But this raises a problem. What if the divine commands something that seems clearly wrong, like cruelty? Would that then be morally right just because the divine said so? That makes morality seem arbitrary, which is hard to accept if we want moral standards to be consistent and reliable. On the other hand, if the divine commands actions because they are inherently good, then goodness exists outside of divine will. That suggests moral standards are independent of the divine and might even be above it. This idea challenges divine omnipotence, because it implies that moral truths are not created by divine decree but are instead eternal and unchanging. This dilemma puts divine command theory into a tough spot. It makes us think about whether moral authority comes from a divine being or from moral principles that exist on their own. Some thinkers propose that God's nature itself is the standard of goodness. That means God's commands are not arbitrary but flow from a perfectly good nature, which helps keep divine authority and objective morality together. In terms of ethics and morals, the dilemma raises big questions. Can morality be based solely on divine authority, or does that make morality either arbitrary or outside divine control? It also pushes us to consider if moral values are rooted in reason, human nature, or social agreements instead of divine commands. In the end, the Euthyphro dilemma challenges us to think about where moral authority really comes from. Is it rooted in divine will, or do moral truths exist independently? It makes us question how we justify moral standards and how we know what is truly right or wrong. This challenge keeps the conversation about the foundations of ethics alive and ongoing.